Alright, hey, this is Yazaki Wolf. So today's gonna be a fairly quick video because I have my TRPG group to attend in about an hour, so I'm gonna have to do this very quickly and then get ready to head out for that. I'm looking forward to going out and playing some D&D 5th edition. Should be pretty fun. But anyways, getting to the point, today I wanted to give you a quick update as to how my game jam went. And so, for those of you who may not know what a game jam is, let me just explain very quickly. So, a game jam is an event where you make a game in a specified amount of time, usually a very short amount of time. So, in this case, it was a 48-hour period. So, I joined the GMTK. Let me just make sure I got that right. Game Makers Toolkit. So that's the GMTK Game Jam. This was their second official game jam, I believe. And so the theme that was determined for this game jam was game without mechanic. And now, if you want to get a little bit more insight into what that means, I put a link to their original video explaining the game jam in the description. So you go ahead and click on that and check that out. Preferably after you finish watching my video, but I have that link down there. And so what that meant is basically you take a game of a specific genre, and then you have to remove one of the core mechanics of that genre. So one of the examples given was like a platformer. So you would take a platformer game, which essentially you think of like Mario, you're jumping from platform to platform. Jumping is a very key mechanic of that, right? So now let's make a platformer where you don't jump. And I forgot the name of the game that they gave as an example, but it was a game where you were a snake, and instead of jumping, you had to actually like slither your way through platforms into different moving obstacles and whatnot. But at any rate, so you take that genre and then you remove one of the mechanics. So instead of adding things, which I think a lot of us think to do very often, we often think like, let me take this genre and add something from this other genre into it, and we're very much focused on kind of adding. But this was the opposite, where you're taking away. And I thought this was a really cool idea for a game jam. And another thing, so you guys know that they don't tell you ahead of time. So you literally just wait, and then when the game jam starts, they tell you what the theme is, and that's when it was announced that this is the theme. And then from that point, you just heard what it is. You have 48 hours now, 2 days to get a game made. And so I heard that, and the very first thing I thought about was shmup, shoot 'em up games, like old school space shooter games. I was like, okay, so let's take a shmup, a bullet hell type game where you're dodging bullets and shooting various types of bullets and lasers and things like that at your enemies, and let's take away the shooting aspect. And I thought that was kind of interesting to me because I remember a lot of times when I was playing actual shmup games in the past, there were some games where you would have a bomb that would only affect the area closest to your character sprite. So it was beneficial if you're at a boss not to just press the bomb button, but to move in as close as possible to where that boss is and then hit the bomb. Otherwise, you wouldn't really do much damage to the boss. So I was like, and it was cool doing that because I would find that you would be swerving through these mats of bullets that are coming at you, and you're like weaving your way through that to get close to them, and then you release your bomb, and then you escape. And it was kind of fun doing that. So it's like, okay, what if we took away your ability to shoot? Then that would be the new key, the new main part of the game. What do you call it? That would be where the game's enjoyment might come from. Instead of from having various bullets that you're shooting back at your enemies, you don't have any bullets, so now you have to actually weave through the enemy's bullets and get to them. So I had this idea like, okay, so you're not going to shoot, you're going to have to actually move forward and press forward and then kill the enemy by ramming into them. And I was working with Tony from Sketchflix on this, and we did a little brainstorm, which if you want to check out, I streamed that on my channel as well, so you can check out our brainstorming session. But he had the idea maybe we should make it a bullet. So you are the bullet, and you're like the last bullet that some. I know, but he had this very interesting scenario where there's this person who only has one last bullet left, and he has a bunch of enemies that are trying to take him down. So he uses his last bullet, and the last bullet has to fly through all the enemies and kill them all, hopefully. And so okay, we'll make this thing where you are the bullet, and then he came up with the idea of a KungFu bullet, and he drew a sprite of the bullet as with a bandana as a KungFu bullet, and it's like, okay, so the bullet will go around, it'll beat up all the enemies, and that sounds like a cool idea. So anyways, I don't want to make this too long, so let me get to actually into what the game looks like. So you can see here I have the opening screen. It says welcome to KungFu Bullet, a shoot 'em up, but with only one bullet, and that bullet is you. All right, so before we hit start, we have the rules down here. It says you are the bullet. Don't stop moving or you'll explode. And in example, that means don't let the bullet touch your mouse. And so, I mean, there probably was a better way to implement this. So since you're a bullet, bullets don't stop because bullets are in motion. So that's veering away from the kind of shoot 'em up genre a little bit, because in shoot 'em ups you generally can control where you are and you can stop and at any time. But since we're a bullet, we wanted to always have to keep moving. And once you actually start playing it, I feel like that actually was a cool mechanic. So I'm glad we added it. But I'm not completely satisfied with this if it touches your mouse it dies thing. I think that was just the quickest, easiest way to implement that, and I'll go into that a little bit more after you see the game. Charge into enemies to kill them. So since you're a bullet, you can't just stay at the bottom of the screen and shoot at your enemies. You have to actually charge in to kill them. And if you hit anything else, you explode. So, and that includes like the sides of the screen. So if you run into the side of the screen, you explode. If you run into an enemy bullet, you explode. If you run into like a wall or something, you explode. So the only thing you can hit is other enemies, and when you do that, you kill the enemies. It will make more sense once I hit the start button. But before I do that, let me just say that this is done in 48 days. So please understand that a lot of the art that you see here is kind of placeholder art that I was hoping to replace at the end of the jam, but the rest of art just didn't make it. It's something that happens in game jams. You don't always have enough time to get everything done. And since this is my very first game jam, I don't know if I mentioned that, but this is the first time I ever did one of these. So I wasn't even sure if I'd be able to finish a game, let alone like get everything done. So, but here we go. I'll go more into that after you actually see, because it's boring just to hear me talk with a empty screen here. So I hit start and I put start in the middle for the reason that if your mouse touches the bullet, you die. So I wanted to make sure the player's mouse would be somewhere near the middle of the screen, because the moment I press this, the bullet's going to start shooting toward my mouse. So you'll see what I mean when I hit start. Right, so there you go. I think you can see my mouse on the stream. So you can see that the bullet is following my mouse, and I have to like weave through the enemy bullets and these barriers that are falling down at me, and hopefully take out as many enemies as I can. And so just explain a little bit how this is programmed. The enemies are being randomly generated there's 3 different types of enemies with different types of projectiles, and the actual stage that I'm going through with the obstacles, they have been what's the word? There's some of those that are actually planned that I actually put. I died. So I got a score of 65. Apparently my high score is 245. Wow. So I don't remember when I did that, but that's a pretty good score. But let me just reset that for now. I'll try to beat it another time. So let me hit Shift R. So Shift R resets the score. So I was kind of happy because even though this is a very simple game, I think it's legitimately a complete game for the most part. I mean, I obviously I want to change the art, but it has a full game loop, and that was really important to me. That it wouldn't just be like, I don't know, like a partial. I mean, it is a partial experience, but it was important to me that there would be a full game loop, that you would be able to play, have a goal, have a win state, a lose state. And now I don't necessarily know if I have a win state, but you do have a goal of getting a high score. I would have liked to have made it that you have stages, and in the future, if I go back to this, I might actually add stages, but there wasn't enough time to do stages, so I just did the one screen with the randomly generated enemies and a high score mechanic. And it's legit. You could turn this off and turn it back on, and it will still remember your high score. So it's like that was a lot important to me to have have that full loop in there. And let me just click to continue again. And here we go. And see, that's why I don't like the if you hit the mouse it dies things. It's a little too abrupt. I kind of want to think of a different way to handle that, but I can't let you stop. So it's like I have to figure out what happens if you stop moving your mouse. And the quickest answer is just to have you die. Probably would like to change that somehow in the future, but for now, I guess that's okay. I also did WASD movement as well, but it felt like moving the mouse just felt better to have with the continual movement. And you'll notice here that if I run into the side of the wall, that kills me. If I run into these obstacles, it kills me. If I run into the yellow bullets, that kills me. So I have to avoid all that. and take out my enemies. And oh, I forgot to put the link to this, so I'll go ahead and add the link to that in a second. In case anyone actually wanted to play this, it's on itch.com, or itch.io, I'm sorry. Itch.io, so I'll put the link for that down there. See, I like these little sniper, I call them the sniper shrimp, because the sniper shrimp will actually aim at you and shoot like these little like bullets like that, these like bullets that come right at you. And then we have the jellyfish, I don't know what we'll call that. And then we have the, I call him shotgun the Shotgun Billy, I think is this devil guy, or he shoots like this shotgun thing that does a shotgun burst. But finally we were hoping to actually like replace those with actual like mafia bosses and things, since to go along with the bullet theme. And we're also gonna put like a background screen as well, but didn't quite have time. But nonetheless, I felt like it was a very good experience. Now, I think I will do a separate video that goes into kind of the ins and outs of what that experience was like, and if you were thinking about doing a game jam, if I would recommend it or not recommend it. Because I did this because I've seen a lot of you know, indie developers, or just like people that are teaching like YouTube videos that teach game making and things, and everyone's always saying like, oh, you gotta do a game jam. Game jams are the best thing ever. And I have kind of a mixed opinion about that after trying it for the first time. I was apprehensive, really, to try, because you'll notice that since I didn't actually put anything to stop the enemies from spawning, they're just continually spawning in the background. But yeah, it's nice little, think of it as like a screensaver, I guess, with all the enemies floating around. But so as I was saying, like, I was apprehensive about joining the game jam, because it just always seems so weird to me. Like, what the hell can you do in 2 days? Like, is that... And the thing that was weird to me is that no one ever talked about, I don't know how do they say this, they wouldn't specify what type of skill level you should have before you join one of these jams. And I was like, am I actually ready to do something like this? Especially for this jam, like, I'm an artist, like you guys probably know. Like, I work as a professional artist. I'm not a programmer, but I programmed this because I just couldn't find a programmer to do the jam with me. So it's like, I'm not a very experienced programmer. Is this really a good idea for me to do this? And I would look at all these videos and they're like, oh yeah, go right to it, because even if you're just, no matter what skill level you are, if you're an artist or a programmer, it's fine, just go for it. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, really? Like, can anyone do that? Can anyone make a game in 2 days? And is that going to be a beneficial experience for anyone who tries? So, I mean, I'll go into that in a separate video, but just the short of it is that there were a lot of good things, and there are some bad things. I'm leaning toward right now that it was a good experience, but I'd like to give some caveats to that, which we'll go into in a future video, in a separate video, I think. But at any rate, so this was my game, and I'll go ahead and leave a link to that in the description in case you want to check that out. And until next time, live boldly and be creative. Yoroshiku. I'm gonna go ahead and just try to see if I can beat my high score here real quick. High score 30. Okay, I beat my high score this time, not the 245, but yeah, the 245 will probably take some time. Alright, till next time. Check you later.